Good
Right.
morning, and thank you to another episode of The Unexpected Detour, where in life we say detours are inevitable. Today, I am blessed to have my little cousin, Eric Benson, who I've known all his life, of course, because he's my cousin, but he was arrested. I will let him tell you why he was arrested. And he served time in prison. I don't want to give it all away, so I'm going to let Eric tell you about his journey, and I will ask questions, and we'll get this ball started. And he's going to tell you about what he's doing since his release, some fantastic things. Eric, take it over.
Okay. Oh, that was a lot right there. So I was trying to right now when you talking, I may, oh man. So let's start with my youth, colorful youth, and that's an understatement to say that I had a colorful youth. So I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. Uh, one parent. Well, I always say the two-parent home I came out of because although my father, spent most of my life in prison, I had my mother and my grandmother who I stayed with. My grandmother, she was like the backbone of my mother, who was also, in the street life. And I could remember going back to, I would say age 12 was when things started turning. So, it was these innocent years, going back to 7, 5, 7. I remember those years, 10 years old. And just being out on the block and meeting friends and doing little devilishment stuff, because we outside of the from eyesight from your mother and father. So, you start doing little devilish things as a child. But I remember it was probably around 12 years old where I was really introduced to the streets. I remember it all so well. My oldest brother, he was also in the streets doing drugs. And I seen him do it a lot because he had to babysit me. And so I remember I seen him, he had some girls with him and some of his friends, his dudes, and they was doing a lot of like drugs in the house. And he used to always tell me, I better not ever see you do this. I used to see him sniffing coke. I didn't know what it was, really at the time I heard of it, but I didn't, no experience in it. So I always told myself, and I just want to thank him, my brother, my oldest brother, because I think it was because of him. I always told myself I would never do drugs, and I never did drugs.
That's a blessing. I didn't even know that Nene was doing drugs.
Yeah, heavy,
Oh,
heavy.
I thought he
Doing
was just robbing people.
Yeah, that too. He was a jostler, a stick-up kid,
Yeah.
you know, and a drug dealer. He
Oh,
he used to sell drugs for Trevor, Jamaican guy that's from my block. That's my brother age. When my brother was in jail, Trevor is the one that introduced us to selling weed in 1984.
oh.
You know, in and on Marion Avenue in the Bronx. And then he told us about Wall Street. So back in '84, they had these what they call $5 bags in the little plastic bags. And if you go down to Wall Street, you can sell that same $5 bag for $30. And so Trevor into my brother's friend introduced us as kids. Yo, y'all want to come down and make some real money? And we went down to Wall Street, you know. And so although I never did drugs and consumed it or drink. I didn't like drinking. I mean, I drunk, took a drink, a sip here, a sip there, but I never liked it because it altered my mind. However, I was materialistic. So that was my drug. That was my addiction, was money, and that engulfed me in the street life. And um I've been in and out of prison. I've been in and out of jail at the age of 15, 17, and I remember I went to prison and did 4 months in Rikers Island and 5 years probation, came home, and then I received a 1 to 3. So now I'm 17, 18, and I'm going up north with adults because, prior to that, I was just going in and out of jail at Rikers Island. It was like a game to us, with kids. And we go in there, and everybody from the Bronx that I know. So, everybody click up, people from Brooklyn click up with Brooklyn, and we fight each other. And, it's just, that was the never-ending battle that we had going on with ourselves as youth. And I came home after doing a 1 to 3, and I got right back into the street life. It was like I used to tell myself, and I remember this clearly, Francis, um, going up north, even though it was only for 12 months, that I did up north. That's a long time in itself when you think about 12 whole months. But I remember I used to tell myself, man, if you get me out of this, God, that's it. I ain't coming back here. Although I used to I guess you, you know come in with the and adjust with the system. I still didn't like the system.
Right.
you know I didn't like the fact of me being away. you know and when I came home, it was like, oh well, I'm out here now, forget that. I just forgot all about God and what I said to him, or her, what I said to that being, what is the God Almighty, is I used to tell, God all the time, if you get me out of this one, this is it.
Yeah, that's
This is
how it goes. Yep.
it. So now I find myself back in the streets. And, you know, um, in 1993, I actually was in the street selling drugs, and I was on a block and out of state. And I'm on somebody else's block. Well, we think it's our block, but it ain't our block. But this is
Mhm.
what we say, and we got into a confrontation with these other guys that lived in the state that we were in. And I then got mad because I thought, oh, who are you to test us and test my manhood? And mm, I took a young man's life. I shot him. I shot this young man. He was 20, just like me. He had a child just like me. At the time that I did it, I can remember, saying, damn, you messed up. Because prior to that, I've never killed anyone. And I didn't want to kill anyone. But as I began to grow and develop, I began to realize, well, if you didn't want to kill no one, you wouldn't have had that illegal gun on you, because you know illegal guns kill people. You know guns that don't kill you. The person that's holding that gun, pulling that trigger, is the one that killed people. So I had to come to grips in reality within myself, with that,
So that was
and
hard to do.
oh, no question, no doubt. But
I always would wonder where you were, and Valerie would be like, Eric is in jail, but she never would tell me why. You know, it took the rest of the family to explain to me what happened. That's how I found out.
Yeah,
But I back to what you were saying, I see there was a cycle because remember Uncle David?
yes,
You know,
absolutely.
he was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
And at his funeral, when he passed away, I remember Nene telling my mother, when I grow up, I want to be just like Uncle David. And
yeah.
my mother was like, you don't want to be like Uncle David. And he followed suit. And he showed you, but you didn't do the drugs, whereas Uncle David, he did the whole thing, only to be murdered in the area where he was doing it. And I think back, it's like a cycle, and I feel like you broke the cycle
Uncle
after
Papa.
after yeah, after what you did, you broke that cycle of the drug thing. I mean, I know you have another brother. We don't know what happened to him, but we'll keep him in prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about him too to this young lady, her son, she's going through the same thing with her son in the city that, that Victor is going through now, missing and things like that, and relapsing and coming home and getting into these shelters and relapsing. But
Finish telling us
yeah,
about how many years you had to do.
yeah, for me, I think life transitioning and to growth and development, taking that self introspection of myself came early for me. So after taking this young man's life, I received 25 years to life in prison. And I was 20 years old. And I remember clearly to this day that when the judge gave me that time, it was like a brick of weights lifted off my shoulder. For one, I thought I was never coming home, though. That's the first thing, because everybody I knew that I heard about might have been my brother's friends that got, 20, 25 years. We used to always say, damn, yo, he ain't never coming home. He got 25 to life. You hear life and be like, nope, he's finished. He's
That's how
never
I
come.
felt when I heard about you. I cried. I was like, oh my God.
And so that's what I felt, that it's over for me. And so I began to go through this transition state, when I received that time. And I used to say to myself a lot of things. I went up north and I got locked up in 1993. And I went up north in 1994. And I was upstate in this prison called Clinton Correctional Facility in New York State. And I used to like go to the yard and I used to see people that I knew or knew of, and everybody is clicking together and we're not doing anything productive in the yard. Like, okay, some of us went over to the weight pile to start lifting weights, Some of us would try to run to the phone to call our families to see if they send us some money or something, and I used to sit back and watch this. As I'm watching it, I'm also looking for things to get into, positive things, because I was going to the law library because I was fighting my case. I was in denial. I was saying, listen, I'm gonna get home because all I knew was everybody that told me when I went up north that had 25 to life, they said this is the only way you're gonna get out. Either you want to do the whole 25 or go to the law library and fight your case and try to get a reversal, try to get back home. So that's what I did. I started to learn about the law. And so in learning about the law, I also went to prison without a GED. And so I enrolled in school. Well, let me correct that. I didn't enroll in school. They put me in school because anybody that doesn't have a GED, or a diploma, they make you go to school in Clinton Correctional Facility. That's what I could speak for. I was there. And so I got into school and I got my GED. The first test, the first round that the test came, I got it. And that's because I always knew I was smart
Like
when
your
I
mother.
did go to school.
Your mother
When
was smart too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she was her and they were all smart.
Yeah.
It's like it
When
was
I
just something that just happened where the whole family just, I don't know. It's
yeah.
sad.
So, and I remember when I used to go to school in PS 85 and IS 137, and when we have tests and when we have to take a test, I used to bust it out. Like, but I just, the streets called me. I gravitated more towards the streets than school,
Do
you
you
know.
think
But
it was because you wanted things? Because I know
oh,
grandma couldn't afford to get you things.
of course.
Mom
But
didn't, mom couldn't get you things. So do you think that because you couldn't get the things that this was a way that you could get these things?
yeah, well, I'm gonna say that listen, I think of course that plays a part. We all say it, like all of us that been in the streets, we talk about the holy sneakers, the this, the that, that we didn't have this and that we see this kid with that. But the reality for me is I remember my grandmother used to keep me fly. My mother used to keep me fly. At the end of the day, I didn't have everything I wanted, but you could bet on Easter, I had that fly safari suit. You could bet on Christmas, I had, I remember
Yeah,
they used, and under the circumstances,
yeah, they did the best
living in
they could. Yeah,
poverty, they did the best they could, but
yeah.
they, they used to buy for us. I remember going shopping on Fordham Road. My mother take me, or my grandma take me to Fordham Road. I
Hmm.
remember this clearly. So when I say I ran towards the street because I wanted, to have this, to a degree. I think it was just more of your environment, being in your environment, going outside and just wanting to have fun, have some independence, and then those entities around you you know, introducing you to these drugs and things that's out there, that makes you, okay, it's there. I could get more money, all right, I don't have no money this week. Grandma, we gotta wait until the check till they get the first of the month to buy. Oh, this I could buy something every week. If I get, and then this is my own money. This is independent. So,
Right,
it definitely plays a part. At the same time, we know right from wrong. So I always knew right from wrong. I can reflect back now. And when I first, got locked up, and I knew right from wrong. I always tell this story too. I had a friend that used to live on the block and he moved off the block. He used to sell drugs with us. He moved off the block at a young age. We was like 15, 16. And he used to come back and he come back and he was Muslim now. And he
hmm,
used to tell us how wrong it was to be out there. And we used to brush him off. Come on, man, Skip. Come on. I ain't trying to hear that. We ain't trying to hear that. Till it got so bad when he come, we go in the building and hide from him because we didn't want to hear the message. We
right,
didn't hear the good message. So I call it that, at that time I was killing the God spirit in me
right,
by doing that, and again we learn from choices in life and we learn the hard way. So me, I had to learn the hard way. So growing up in there, I began to go through this self-introspection of myself. So I always been independent, even selling drugs my whole life. I never wanted to work for nobody and I begin to make my money and then buy my own stuff, my own product, and give it out to people to sell for me and with me because I used to sell my own stuff at times, and so I always been this independent person. But so inside I said, listen, I gotta stop being a follower. I find myself going to this yard, out to the gym, clicking up with this, with dudes that's in there, everybody, and we doing nothing positive. We trying to find out how to get drugs in the jail, to
Mm.
sell drugs to get money to make. And then we use the excuse, yeah, I gotta make some money to send money home to my son. Huh? Like you know what I mean? Like how twisted was that? The thinking, too, that we think we doing something good, but that's nothing good. Your son wouldn't want you to be in jail now, selling drugs in jail, so you can stay in jail longer.
I was gonna say, so you get caught, then you be there a little
You
bit
know what I
longer.
mean? So I said to myself, I have to do something different. And so I used to, when they call the yard or the
Hmm.
gym, and the cells open up by themselves. When they call yard, they click open all the doors for everybody, and the doors open. I used to close the door back with me in the cell. So after a while, you see dudes that I grew up with, dudes that I know, yo, you ain't going to the yard. Yo, why you ain't? Listen, I got things to do. I got things to do, man. I gotta write this paper. I gotta, I use every excuse in the book to not go out to that yard. And I got into myself. And so taking that self-introspection, I told myself things like I grew up calling my friends the N-word. Every sentence I used, it was the N-word. And any females we knew or been around, we call them the B. We call them a B word. So that's one thing I told myself I was going to eradicate that from my vocabulary. And to this day, from 1995 to now, I never use those words out of my mouth, the N word or the B word, unless I'm using it as an example to
Right,
explain to
right.
someone. So that's some of the things that I did when I locked myself in that cell. Another thing I did was tell myself, because I was, selling drugs in the street and running from this prison, from this state to that state. I was in Baltimore, I was in DC, I was in Charlottesville, Virginia. I was in Albany. I was Springfield, Massachusetts. So I was like just going all over the state selling this poison to my community, and to my communities. And I told myself, and in every state I had a girl. Like I always had a girl in each state. So, my loyalty to a woman was far in between. It was non-existent. And so, I told myself when I was growing up in prison now that when I in a relationship, it would only be one person. And I lived by that
You
since I've been
sure
in
did. You
1995.
got the
One
beautiful
person.
woman, the beautiful wife.
One person and one person only, and that's where I stand. I also grew up in acknowledging that, because I did a lot of educating myself on on my history, and I began to realize that, wow, like the person that I know now, my mind state, I would never have ever had sold those drugs, that poison to my community, knowing what I know now.
Right.
If I knew that back when I was younger, I would never have done that. And so I have to live with that for the rest of my life. However, I will never make that a crutch on progressing in my life, because I know for a fact that I'm not, mm, you know, defined as my last bad choice in life.
Right.
So I move forward and understand it now and despise it. Yes, I used to do it, but I still despise it.
I
I
hear
don't care who's doing it now, and they not, even if they not knowledgeable, I'm knowledgeable. And I know that I would never have help to destroy my people, the community, period, society, by selling those
I don't
drugs.
think many of them get it that they're harming their own community
But we
by
don't,
doing that
because I was
because
there.
it's the fast money.
Yes.
And either you end up locked up for life or you're dead on the street, but you want that fast money. And that's what it is.
Well, and
It's
I think it's
easy money, it's fast money. They don't care
absolutely,
what they cut that cocaine with because they know that the addict is going to want it, period.
yeah.
They don't
But
care.
but at the same time, I I know that I remember I always knew right from wrong.
Right.
Always knew right from wrong. Um, like I said, I subscribe to, those two spirits, that self-accusing spirit on one shoulder and that devil on another shoulder.
Right.
And I let that devil take over my mind state, for the most part. I knew the right from wrong, but I
You
felt,
chose the
yeah,
devil
the
way
wrong was
instead of the,
more,
yeah,
I felt the wrong was more glorified in my eyes, more hip, more, being down with the inner crew, with being that follower was all good to me. So I always say, like, I've never been a follower. I always been my own man, because I used to, I got to where I had my own stuff, and I didn't have to pay anyone but people that worked for me. But I still was a follower.
yeah.
I had to come to
It's
that
following
realization.
the crowd, yep.
That, hold on, you are a follower. That's a hypocrite,
Yeah.
and so I also know that I tell this a lot too, that I've never been that person to be halfway in, halfway out with something. And so my entire youth, all I did was negativity, because I was all in. I don't care what I did in terms of, okay, I made sure I had my sister come, because before I got locked up, my mother, when she passed away,
Were
they
you
took,
there? You came?
no, I wasn't
I
there. I
didn't
was
think
locked up.
so. No.
But when I came home, my siblings was in the foster care.
Yes.
And I vowed that I'm gonna get them out. So I went to the lady in Queens where my two sisters were, and she let me take Shanika, which is my
Okay.
older but younger sister. She let me take Shanika, and I had Shanika living with me with a girl that I had a house with in Albany, New York. And so I tried to get Raquel. The lady wouldn't let me take Raquel. I guess she get money for them.
Yeah,
So
she
there
was.
was a problem. But I always used to tell the lady, the foster care lady, I'm coming back for my sister. I'm coming to get my sister. In that process, Victor, my youngest brother, he was already on the run. He left the foster care. He was out, on his own since then. And I wound up in that process. I wound up going to jail for murder, serving 25 years to life. And so my cousin Tanya, our cousin, she went to Albany to get Shanika for me. That's when Shanika started living with her, when I got locked up in 1993, because she used to live with me. I made sure she went through school up here. She went to Albany High. The girl that I was messing with, her sister and my sister used to go to Albany High. They graduated at Albany
Oh, so
High.
Shanika did graduate. Huh.
Yes, and
Thank
she
you, Eric. I'm glad she
going
did.
to college. She was about to go to college, and I was locked up, so she didn't go. The reason why I tell that story is because, and a person could say, and I understand a mother, they will always say this, and it's not. I'm not saying they wrong, they right. By right, people would always say, well, you did some good, you tried to, that was, I said, I say that get pushed to the side because of all the negativity that I did during
Right.
my, I didn't see nothing positive that I did in life during that time, because I was out there selling that poison, and I carried a gun everywhere I went. And everybody else around me had a gun. So, you know, um, it's hard for me to say, these good things, and oh yeah, you really was a good person, but we all know good, bad, wrong from right. So, at the same time that I say that, that just always is a part of who I was and who I am today too. Because when I begin to transition, I told myself that I will never go backwards again. And
And
so
you
I was
haven't
all
since you've been
so
out.
I said as the and it was only from 12 to 20 years old that I was on them streets. And I said the energy that I put in at that age, with all the negativity that I did, now my entire life is dedicated to all positivity. And that's how I live today. There's not a negative bone in me that ever going backwards to anything negative. And so I've been able to live my life. I in there I begin to, learn different trades. I begin to prepare for my freedom. I begin to prepare myself. And so in preparing myself, they had prisons that had college program. After I got my GED, I said I want to go to college. So a friend of mine that I grew up with, he transferred from one jail to the college, the jail with the college. He told me about it. I put in for a transfer. I finally got there. I got there to Sing Sing Correctional Facility in 2006. And they had a associate's degree, Mercy University, which was called Mercy College, which is now Mercy University. They had associates and a bachelor's, liberal arts and science major, and they also have a master's degree program, um, where you can get your master's of professional studies, and theology. And so once I got there, I said, "Oh, this is a no-brainer for me," And then Sing Sing is a little bit more progressive than other jails. They have a lot more positive programs that men like myself have created in that prison. And so, I got involved with everything. I was involved with every organization. I was involved in the the, the organizations that come from society and volunteer inside. I was also involved in the college program, and where Sing Sing is where I received my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's degree. Um, while receiving my
That's
master's
awesome.
degree, thank you. While receiving my master's degree, I began to think about and this was in 2014. I received my master's degree. I was going to the parole board in 2017, so I had 3 years left. And I began to think about preparation, by preparing myself for society. And so in doing that, I'm also an HIV and AIDS peer educator, facilitator. And so I have my certification in HIV and AIDS, and also I created a fatherhood mentoring
I
program
like that one.
where
That's
we
when
have
Karan
classes.
came and he did
That's
the
right.
video.
That's right. And that's a story that I guess you can have me on another time too,
Yeah,
because
I
that's
want you to
about,
tell that story. Yeah.
that's
That,
and that story is I'm waiting to be on TED Talk, and so I'll be sharing that as well on TED
yeah,
Talk.
because that made me cry.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
Karan
so
did he did an awesome job. I'm telling you.
yes, it did, and he's
That I
still
had to
living.
share with the whole family. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so, and I will, just set up when we come back. I'll talk about that and just
Yeah.
share that entire story, um, of you know, it was a miracle for us being
Yeah.
back to. Go ahead. You know, so when I graduated with my master's, I began to watch. I was watching these shows. I really wasn't watching them. The where I was at, I was in this block called Honor Block. Excuse me. and on a block, you able to watch TV as a group, group of men that's doing good, not getting into any trouble, staying out of trouble. You can get access to the stove, you got access to washing machine, dryer, you could take a shower now anytime. This was like heaven in prison because you only get like 3 showers a week, in
Wow,
regular prison and regular.
really?
Yeah, they give you a bucket that you could buy from commissary and you could wash up in the cell. You know what I'm saying? But shower days are not every day. You don't have
Oh,
can't get a shower every day unless you become a porter in the shower house. See,
okay,
some people they strategically, man, I'm gonna be a porter over there because then I get my showers every day. You know what I'm saying?
right. So you had to
So,
know how to take advantage of what was put before you.
oh,
Never mind the
yeah,
negativity. You have to want to better yourself.
yeah, yeah,
And that's how
absolutely,
you got there. You bettered yourself. We
absolutely.
always knew you were smart from a little kid. So I can
Yeah.
always say that, yeah. Except one lady I remember, I'm gonna say this, she used to say, "Oh, Eric got that red hair. He's gonna be in trouble." I'll never, and your grandmother, she wanted to hit her. It was when you all lived on Tinton Avenue.
Tenton Avenue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
thing herb.
And your grandmother was like, "Don't be talking about my grandson like that." Yeah, because your hair was like reddish when you were little, remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was then I said, no, it ain't gonna be him, gonna be that little Victor getting in trouble. Uh-huh. Because Uncle
Yeah, yeah,
Phil was always around to correct y'all.
yeah, that's right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I began to watch these shows called Love and Hip Hop
Uh-huh.
and Love After Lockdown. And so I started, I was like, wow, this is something that I think I could be interested in, not for the content of the show, but my personal content because I was already thinking of how to highlight the men that was coming home from the prison that I was in and coming back
Really?
as graduates. Yes,
Oh,
so in Sing Sing, if you're in a college program and you complete the program and you go home, the superintendent will allow you to come back in with the organizations that's in there already. Mercy College,
so
Hudson.
are you part of that?
Yes, I am. I'm
Oh, okay.
not with them. And so I used to watch men that go home before me. They
Mm.
come back to graduations that I was a part of.
Oh, okay.
And they give a speech at the
Mm-hmm.
graduation. So we used to transform the entire visiting room into a university. You would
Oh,
not
okay.
think it's a visit room. We take all the tables, the chairs where the families come visit,
Mm-hmm.
and at a graduation, the entire from the president on down, from the college program, they come in and they give our degree. Our families can come.
Oh,
We
that's
cook the
awesome.
food. We used to cook the food where they sit down after the graduation. We used to walk the aisle we had our bond
Wow.
on with
Oh, so
our
you
hat.
had your collar and all the whole thing. That's
Yeah,
nice.
everything.
So what
I
is
have
your degree in? What's your master's degree in?
in professional studies,
Okay.
theology.
Okay. Now let me
So
ask you, you didn't tell us, when did you, how many years did you actually serve?
I served 27 years and 6 months.
Wow.
27 years and 6 months off of 25 years to life.
Yeah. Did
And
you ever think you were gonna come home?
well, I begin to think that
Okay.
after 15 years of incarceration, I begin to say to myself, you could make it, man. You could do this, man. Like 10 years, think about it. You have 10 more years to the board. Like just engulf yourself. I was already transitioning, learning educating myself to everything I could,
Mm-hmm.
reading all types of books, biology book, business books, getting into any business classes that we created for ourselves in there, and so I began to reshape my mind
Okay.
that I can
So
make it
you
happen.
knew you was getting out of there.
No question. And so when I even before I graduated, I used to get on what we call the setup crew, where we help the organization to set up the visit room to the
Mhm.
families that's coming and the graduates. And I wasn't even graduating yet, but I used to help out, volunteer,
Oh,
so that I
okay.
can be down there, so that I can see the experience for when
Right.
I am able to graduate. And so this is where I met brothers that was with us in the program in prison,
Mm-hmm.
went home and came back to visit and give a speech on what they doing out there. So that inspired me. So that inspired me so much. I came home August 10th, 2020, and coming home the next year, I got on the list to come into the
Oh,
graduate.
that's awesome. So
And
let's
so
tell the people about your success after lockdown podcast. How
absolutely.
did
So
that come into fruition?
so this is, what I was talking about, what I was getting to with um with love after lockdown and love and hip hop. And I began to watch these programs and I said, wow, it's gotta be a way that I could create a platform to highlight these men and women because I didn't know of no women, but I didn't know any women, but I knew of women that was going home and that
Mm-hmm.
had success stories as well, being successful, staying home and giving back to the community. So I said, man, there's got to be a way that I could create a platform to highlight these men and women, just to show society that everybody, because society has this perception that if you've been in jail, you're always gonna be a jailie. You've been in and you come home, oh, he going back because
Yeah,
the
that's what
recidivism
we
rate,
always would say. Oh, they going back. Mm-hmm.
yeah, because that's the stereotype, and nobody knows of the stories that we have now, stories like myself and others. And so when I came home, I said I want to create a podcast where I highlight these men and women and show the world, show society that everybody ain't just going back. There's
Right.
some of us that's learning our lesson, that's learning from
Mhm.
our bad choices and
And
not
we've
making
had
them
some
again.
good people on there where they didn't go back.
No
They're doing
question,
something constructive with their life now.
positive for the community
Yes.
as
Yes.
a whole, for
I
society
like the
as
guy that was the boxer, that one. What was
absolutely.
the one from
Oh,
Brooklyn that was the boxer? He's a boxer. He was in jail. He came out and he's doing his thing. And he had,
that's Michael Marshall, I believe
yes,
too. There's
yeah.
a couple of people that used to box too, that because they had a boxing in Green Haven Correctional Facility. They have a boxing program there.
Oh, okay.
And there are some really professional boxers that came out of Green
Oh,
Haven, that came out
you
of that
met all
program.
these people while you were in prison?
Yes, I met most of them while I was in. And
Oh,
so there's some of them that I didn't get to meet because
mhm.
New York State Prison there's so many prisons around that, like, let's say a friend of mine's that left me in this prison and got transferred to another prison and met this guy, I know of this person then.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's some people that I know there's a lot of people that I know personally, and there's a lot of people that I know of that's on my
Oh, okay.
on my
Why do they
heart.
transfer people? Why do they transfer you?
But for all various of reasons.
Oh,
You
okay.
can you can get a transfer for educational purposes if you're doing
Okay.
good and you're
And yours
not,
was for educational purposes.
yeah, if you're not getting any tickets, you're
Mhm.
staying out of trouble, and you request to be transferred to a prison that has college, you know, they can take that into consideration.
Oh, okay. Because
If
I
you
was wondering why there'll be
no,
one
they
place and the
transfer.
next
Yeah,
place.
but sometimes also you can be a person has an infraction that
Mm-hmm.
get locked up for doing something, cutting somebody or fighting. You can be transferred to another prison.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
they transfer people for various reasons. You
Mm-hmm.
could be one of them guys that's in the yard all the time with a crew, but you never get caught with nothing. But the administration's always watching you, so
Oh,
they know that's this you are a figure and you are influence on some of these guys, but you're not getting caught
right.
doing the bad stuff. But you around them every day, you can get transferred for that.
Oh, okay.
There's just so many various reasons.
I was wondering because I remember Uncle David, your Uncle David, he was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
more
know he was
than
in
likely,
Elmira for a while.
yeah, more than likely he was always there because he always got in trouble. But that's how Nene was. He been to probably every jail in the state.
Really?
Yeah, because Nene used to do the same thing in there.
But he said he wanted to be like Uncle David, so I guess he was
Yeah,
following his hero.
yeah.
Yeah.
He used to rob people in there in prison, rob dudes.
In
You
there
know,
too?
yeah, he
I
did.
remember, I'm gonna be real quick because we're almost done. I remember one time Nene robbed the old lady on Fordham Road. And I
Yeah,
said to him, now, if that was your grandmother, what would you do?
yeah,
And he was
yeah.
quiet. I said, if somebody was to rob your grandmother, you would want to beat them up. But you out here robbing somebody else's grandmother, that's a shame. And there was nothing he could say. Nothing.
Of course it ain't. I just pray for his soul, man. That
Yeah, I pray for him too, that one day he'll
he
come
changed
home.
himself. That he changed himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have since me and my partner Anthony Cologne. He's also a person that grew up on Marion Avenue in the
Oh,
me. So we grew up as young kids together, 10 years old, 12. We grew up on the same block. And he done a total of up to 22 years in and out. You
oh,
know,
okay.
he was like Victor and everybody else. He was heavy on drugs, on
Oh, okay.
yeah, he used to do hard drugs, crack, you know, dope,
Oh, but he got it
partner,
together.
and him and his wife too. And they
Like,
own business now in Florida. You know,
oh,
he's
okay.
been home for over 5 years, 6 years now, and they own their own wellness center with over
Really?
14 homes, over
I
100
guess
beds.
that is success after lockdown. And you
Yeah,
can be successful if your mindset has to change.
question. And so he goes to AA classes, him and his wife, they go to therapy and he's really, doing real good. I'm
Okay.
proud of him. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, I'm
So
proud of you.
no
'Cause
question.
you really well, I knew you were smart, but I'm really proud to say
Uh,
you're my cousin. I did get to see you when you came home because you came to my house, but that podcast is a success. And that's why
yeah.
I'm proud of you because success
And
after
son,
lockdown is
my
awesome.
son is one of the producers.
Oh, Karan is one of the producers? Oh,
Yes, so he's
nice.
our producers at Success After Lockdown. He works at Lincoln Center Film
Yeah.
Doc. He
Oh,
also goes back in the jail and he films the graduations in the
oh,
jail.
does he still do that program that you started with the father? The
Yes,
children whose parents were incarcerated?
yep, Osborne Association. He
That's
still
what it's
works.
called?
Yep, the Osborne Association.
Oh, I mean that was good. When Karan went there and he interviewed you, I was like, oh, I almost cried because
Absolutely.
that was I saw the little tears in your eyes too. So
Yeah, and you can find that on YouTube.
yeah, I'm
And
gonna look it up and I'm gonna put it
yeah,
in the link because it
okay,
was
and I could
really
send it to
really
you.
nice. Yeah, send me everything. Success after
Absolutely.
lockdown, everything. How they can contact you if they know anyone who would like to be on Success After Lockdown and tell their story. Or I'm sure you offer counseling for HIV, AIDS, and all those things.
Yeah, so they can definitely contact me.
Just send me the information, Eric, and I'll put it
Okay.
down there.
Okay.
And also, you do motivational speaking if you're needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Eh,
We are credible messengers. You know,
Okay,
you know, case managers, we public speakers. And so
okay.
anytime, like, you know, and that's what me and my partner, we are striving to do now is to go back into the schools and be able to talk to the youth and just share our story.
I think if
And
they heard it from people who did a hard time or they were in and out and
absolutely,
what you missed out on your life, but you don't have to lose out on your life by going into prison and getting in the gangs. You can be better yourself so that when
absolutely,
it is time to come out, you're prepared for the real world, whereas your mindset has changed.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And that's what it is. Those kids, especially the kids now with all this gang banging and stuff out there, they need to know what it's really all about. But anyway, thank you, Eric. I love you.
absolutely.
Oh,
Anytime, I love you
all
too,
right.
sis. And
All right.
like I said, anytime, just schedule a day and I'm there. Where
Okay.
we
Yeah,
talk
because we
about
got to get
Quran.
back to you so you can tell the Quran story. Or
Absolutely.
maybe we should have Quran come on and tell his story.
Yeah. Oh, we can do that too.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
his story is really deep and
absolutely,
deep as deep can be. But
absolutely.
anyway, with that,
Mm,
that will conclude our show with my cousin Eric. And
absolutely.
we will get back
Love
to
you.
you at another time. Okay. I love you.
Love you.
All
Love you
righty.
too.
Okay. All right. Bye.